Thank you very much for the kind words. I didn't know I was such a good person, because I think it's all exaggerated, because we are all, of course, we do our best, but we are not as good as what is being said here. Listen, I have a little bit of a problem with my back, and that's why I'm walking a bit strangely. Hopefully it's temporarily, but no, it's fine. I can stand. If once I get too much, anyway, I can lean a little bit here. Anyway. So, listen what they have said here. It was, of course, too much. I've done my best, and the reason actually why I kept the interest in Kosovo so much, first of all, of course, because you're very nice people, but also I think that in general the internationals are treating Kosovo very badly. Kosovo, it's not only that these 5 countries do not recognize you, but many things, you know, the Serbs are not doing anything and there are no punishments. You are doing something not like this, introducing this association of Serbian minority communities. They make a very big point of this, and all the other things that the Serbs don't do, we don't know. The Ohrid agreement was made, very good agreement. What that Vucic said when he came home, yeah, I was there, I said yes, but I meant no. And what was the consequence? Nothing. So it's really, these things really hurt me, yeah, because, I mean, I don't know if you see my Facebook, I'm very outspoken every now and then to say this is very bad. Okay, just what I want to do, because I can of course talk about a lot, but I want to go a little bit, as you are young, maybe you are not aware of the whole thing, you know, because at the moment, as you know, we have the trial in The Hague, where I live. In Scheveningen, I live more or less, let's say, from the prison I live 2 kilometers, I think. But of course the trials are in the center, but that's a little bit further. But even so, it's very close to my heart also. And as you know, there was not so long ago, there was a big demonstration. I think there were 4,000 people, 4,000 people from the whole of Europe. And I also made a speech there to, let's say, to de facto to attack the court. And I will come back now to this story, because it's a major story for your country. Okay, the history. In 2011, Mr. Marty published a report on Kosovo. It was based on a book of Carlo De Ponto, the former prosecutor in UNMIC, and she wrote a book on her time, and it ended about this, with a subject about that there had been organ trafficking. And organ trafficking, I don't know if you know what it means, is that they claimed that in the Yellow House in North Albania, Učića people were taking organs, so hearts or livers or kidneys, whatever, from prisoners, and then brought it to Tirana airport and then shipped them to Turkey to be sold further. That was, of course, the report of this Marty, and as Marty had before in the Council of Europe, by the way, the Council of Europe, do you know the difference between the European Council and the Council of Europe? Who knows? What's the difference between the Council of Europe and the European Council? Nobody knows. Okay. Now, the Council of Europe is an organization where, I'm not sure, I think around 50 European countries are members, but the European Council is from the European Union. There are only 27 members, you know, if you're a member. So like Serbia is not a member of the EU, but is a member of the European Council, but not the Council of Europe. So I made the mistake myself. So it's very confusing that the names are more or less the same, but this is the Council of Europe. The Council of Europe, which is stationed in Strasbourg. And anyway, the Marty had made a report about retention camps. So it meant that during this Iraqi war, and the Americans, prisoners, they brought to retention camps all over Europe where they could tortured the people to, yeah, anyway, it was a very bad thing. And he made that report, and there was of course also a big outcry, it's not true, it's not true, and it turned out to be true. So his standing was enormously high, and it was also very good for the Council of Europe, because also it put them really on the spot, like in a very important organization. So his standing was very high, so when he brought out this report, they said it must be true, because it comes from him. And you can see how it was, because I read it, and I wrote to my ministry a report to attack this thing. I said it's full of holes, it's full of things, it's not. And they were very angry with me. How do you dare to contradict such an important person? Who do you think you are? And so on. This was, of course, informally made informal comments from our ministry, but it didn't become very popular. Sir Geoffrey Howe, the one who was responsible for the prosecution of Milosevic, he also wrote that it's not true, because it cannot be true, but also it was put aside. But of course, should it have been true, it would of course been horrible, if it was true. So then everybody said, no, we really have to investigate this, because this is really a crime. You cannot imagine what a horrible crime this could be. And so they thought we have to investigate these things. Okay, then the years passed. It was also, I think, a little bit the fault of fear that you did not do too much with it either. You could have also said, we do our own investigation once more. Actually totally unnecessary, because UNI had already investigated and said it was not true. EULEX had also done it once more and said it's not true. And yeah, now it came once more. You have to do it once more to say it's not true. Anyway, so they said, oh, maybe we should really investigate it in a very deep way, and maybe we should make a special court for this. Yeah, but we cannot have this court in Kosovo, because the witnesses, especially the Serbian witnesses, they would not dare to come to Pristina, and maybe also witnesses from Kosovo itself would not want to testify. If they want to testify, they need protection. So there were also some people from here who got in special protection. Although actually I did not agree, I had to do this. Again, if I do not agree principally and I refuse to do my work, then I should resign. Because this is, so of course, even if I did not agree, I did my job to try to convince people, get this court. And I remember at the time also I talked to Tachi, I said, listen, you don't need to worry, because if this is not a kangaroo court, if it's a real court, you will be set free anyway, because of lack of evidence. I don't say that there is nothing wrong, but I mean, they will never be able to prove anything, because especially of course the Serbian witnesses will be totally unreliable. They will just say whatever they want. Of course, the universities play a very big role in order to make people aware of what is it. So, as I said, at a certain moment, you have the principles, you have to do, if you are employed by somebody and they pay you, you have to do what they say, unless you think it's totally against my conscience, then of course you should stop. I will give another example, which is of course more sensitive. It's also when I was here, Abelina Hasheu was the chairman of the judicial committee in the parliament. And then I don't know what the subject was, but anyway, they made then I don't know, as I said, they don't know the subject, but she came in the parliament and said, I'm not going to read what was decided, because all the parties are in this committee. Yeah? So her opinion was overruled as the chairman, and she said, I'm not going to read it. And then it was of course very strange, she doesn't want to read it. And then I went out and I said, listen, she has to read it, because if she doesn't want to read it, she has to resign. Oh, who are you to say this, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, the thing is, what you should do in such a case, you say, listen, this has been decided in my committee. I have a dissenting opinion. So I do not agree, but this was agreed in the committee. And my opinion as dissenting is this. And what's wrong with it? This is how it should be. But you cannot say, I'm not doing it. Because, yeah, this is what you should also learn then if you are. I mean, your own opinion is of course very important, but many times you have to adjust I know exactly that young people are many times very much black and white. It's right or wrong, but I mean, it's not right or wrong. It's more or less always a little bit, both sides have a point. It's of course very unsexy to be in the middle all the time. And that's also why now in Europe, unfortunately, the middle parties are losing. So people go to the extreme left or the extreme right, because it's easier. Oh, everything is wrong, everything is wrong, everything is wrong. Well, please come up with a solution. They don't come with a solution that they don't have. But so this is what universities should do, to tell you, be reasonable. That's actually the main point. Reasonableness and yeah.
So, first of all, Mr. Bosch, allow me to continue to say how good person you are. So I will re-emphasize it again. And also how significant has been your contribution to this country, and it's still important for us, very, very much important. So, for Universum International College, today recognition is about leadership in service of Kosovo's present and future. Mr. Bosch's work helped create conditions in which our institutions, which include educational, civic and governmental institutions, could grow with confidence. He showed that diplomacy is not only negotiation, but it's accompaniment as well. It is the patient labor of guiding a young democracy toward the horizon it has chosen for itself. By honoring Robert Edward Bosch, we also honor the values he represents that include a steadfast partnership, respect for the rule of law, and a belief in education as the engine of a better tomorrow. These are our values too, and they are the values we try to pass on to our students every day. Most of all, today's recognition is focused on three key pillars which we think are instilled in Ambassador Bosch. Integrity in complexity, whether liaising between defense and foreign affairs during the Kosovo crisis, or representing the Netherlands at the OSCE and in Pristina, he chose clarity over theatrics, principled engagement over easy applause. Leadership in his practice is doing the unglamorous work well, and doing it when it matters most. Institution building as nation building, from the OSCE presence in Albania to the Dutch embassy in Kosovo, he focused on strengthening the justice system, administration and public trust, because he understood that institutions are how societies keep promises across generations. And last but not least, bridges that last, honors and titles fade, but relationships endure. The continuous work with the stakeholders in Kosovo and his subsequent service as honorary consul show that his ambassadorship was not a chapter that closed, but it became a permanent bond between people and places that he helped to connect. His presence today here witnesses this last affirmation. For these accomplishments, the Academic Council of Universum International College has unanimously decided to award Ambassador Robert Bosch with the Global Leadership Award for strengthening Kosovo-Netherlands ties, advancing democracy and supporting the just cause of Kosovo's people.